Welcome to News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery.
We're so glad to have you join us today, and our guest is Randy Ham, who is the Executive Director of the Odessa Council of Arts and Humanities. And I'm really sorry that it has Odessa in there, because this organization is something that helps the entire Permian Basin with educational and fine arts and cultural activities. And you're going to hear a lot of things this Sunday and next Sunday about what all they're doing to bring wonderful people into the Permian Basin for you to enjoy and learn from, and also to give you an opportunity to make suggestions to them. So sit back and relax and enjoy our show with Randy Ham, Executive Director of the Odessa Council for Arts and Humanities. And Randy, it's such a pleasure to have you here today.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me here. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, I want you to talk a little bit about yourself before we talk about the council, because I want to know your background and also how you got to be the Executive Director of the Odessa Arts and Humanities.
Well, you know, I'm a West Texas boy. I grew up in Fort Stockton, Texas. I still have family down there that I see every chance I get. Most of my family is from the West Texas area, and I moved to Odessa my sophomore year of high school, graduated from Permian High School in 1991, attended Odessa College, and really it was a very surreptitious kind of path that I took to get to the Arts Council. I call myself a big book nerd. I love to read. Authors are my rock stars. Books are my best friends. I have a home library that I love.
I can relate to
that.
And
it's wonderful. My first job in high school was as a part-time bookseller at B. Dalton's when it was over in the mall. And I worked all the way through up through management into B. Dalton's. I worked at Barnes and Noble. I worked at Walden Books, and then I moved on to Hastings, where I then was promoted to senior book buyer and moved to Amarillo for about 5 years as a book buyer at the Hastings corporate office. And I like to say that's really when I think the world opened up to me. I got to purchase books for all 153 stores in the chain, and I also got to go visit these stores and set up author signings with you know, really big names, Richard Paul Evans, Lemony Snicket, you name it. I probably got to meet those authors and jet off around
whether
the
it was
country.
fiction, nonfiction, political, whatever it was.
It really didn't matter. I got to meet a lot of senators who had written books as well, and it was very educational. It was very neat. Then I moved back here to Odessa and brought that experience with me to the Ector County Library, and that's where I started a program called One Book Odessa, which is a citywide reading program, and we do it every 2 years. And we also started doing a program called Books in the Basin, which is a book festival, and we did it. We've done it twice, once in Odessa and once as a combination event in Midland and Odessa just last year. And that led me to sit on the board for the Odessa Council for the Arts and Humanities. And when Carla Bryant retired after 17 years of shepherding this amazing organization, they asked me if I would be interested in interviewing, and I jumped at the chance. So I got to bring all of my wonderful literary programs with me and start learning about new programs as well, and taking everything that Carla had built, and we get to do this great transition into the next step of the Arts Council, and I'm so thrilled to be able to do it.
You know, one of the things I've learned is that every step of your life is the foundation for the next step and the next step, and that certainly is true in the story of your life.
It's absolutely true.
I am just fascinated with what organizations like yours can do to bring people together. And so to have people from all over the Permian Basin come to Odessa to be a part of these things that you either sponsor or work with partners is what we're going to be talking about today. So before we get into some specific things that you're offering, I want us to talk about the mission of the council and the history of it.
Sure. The Odessa Council for the Arts and Humanities started life as the Odessa Cultural Council back in the late 70s. And it was, back in the 70s was kind of the heyday of the theater and it's really when the cultural center of Odessa started, and that you had your Enid Holmes and your Ronald Bennett and all of those people, and they got together and formed a committee to help get the arts organizations in Odessa to talk to each other and start planning things together and support one another, because we're not stealing, we're not robbing from Peter to pay Paul. If the symphony's doing well, then the Globe Theater's doing well, and if the Globe Theater's doing well, then the Playhouse is doing well. If the Playhouse is doing well, the Art Museum's doing well, and we all help each other. And that's really how it started. And then they approached the city of Odessa with, there was a new state statute about how hotel motel occupancy tax could be spent. And one of the recommendations from the state is that up to 15% of that should go to fund arts organizations. And so instead of all these arts organizations going to the city, the Odessa Council for Arts and Humanities goes to the city and asks for money, and we're granted money from the city of Odessa, and then we grant it out to arts organizations. So all of these organizations come to us, and we're able to help them
and
fund
coordinate and do all this kind of thing. And,
absolutely.
Help promote and do it all. Yeah.
It's wonderful. One of the great things, even serving as a board member, was seeing how well the organizations work together, and how if the Art Museum is having an exhibit on Russian paintings, then maybe the symphony is going to have a concert on Russian composers, and you start seeing how all of this stuff fits together, and it's really wonderful.
And a synergistic effort then that comes about. We're going to have to take a break right now. We're going to be back in just a minute and continue this conversation, because you need to really understand the benefits to you as an individual citizen of the Odessa Council for Arts and Humanities. See you in just a minute.
Stay tuned. West Texas View will be right back.